Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi?
Welcome. This is Ep.7 of the NgoVo Convo podcast, where two stupids make it hype.
Make it right?
No, make it hype, and I'll tell you why it's hype in a little bit. But I'm one of your hosts, Harrison O, and I'm joined by Veronica Vo.
Hello.
If you're new here, we really just want an excuse to talk about anything that ranges from anime to comics. And some
we're
would
nerds.
say, well, yeah, nerds conversing.
Conversing? Because NgoVo, our last names.
Convo. Yeah. NgoVo
VO.
Convo. If you don't know how to spell our last names.
But
But why else do we want to talk about this, Veronica?
Because one of our friends, who shall not be named yet, has not been named yet, is never catching up to shows.
Never?
Never.
Never?
Never. No, I'm just kidding. He's caught up on some stuff, but not slime.
But he... Granted, we are recording this like now, but it'll drop like a month out.
Late, yeah.
Mainly, I'll explain why in a bit but here, let me finish the spiel. But essentially, for every episode, you can watch on YouTube.com or listen to it as a podcast by searching up NgoVo Convo, NgoVo Convo, on your podcast service of choice. On this episode,
What are we talking about?
We're gonna get hyped because we're gonna talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. With that, if you haven't finished the series, it's just I think it's technically one season. It's on disneyplus. 6 episodes, so come back in a day or two just for this. After you watch it, listen to us.
Grab a
we're
snack.
just gonna talk. That's what we're talking about today.
Grab a drink.
Grab a
listen
drink.
To us.
Again, just water today.
Yeah, there's no. Well, I'm having this today. Ad maybe. Just kidding.
Sunkiss.
Sunkiss ad.
But yeah, we're gonna essentially enter spoiler territory, but I think initially, yeah, we're just gonna say that because we'll talk about how we feel. So let's see. How'd you feel? Did you like? Oh, I guess in short, did you like the series?
I love it.
You love it.
I thoroughly enjoy hand-to-hand combat when it's like a live action.
Mm-hmm.
So when this popped up, I was like, oh, I'm ready for Bucky and Sam to whoop some ass somewhere, somehow.
No, and I 100% agree. I think with WandaVision, we had like our re-entry back into the Marvel universe, but we didn't know what to really expect. While with Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm like, oh, it's established characters. We know the style that they're going to go for. It's nothing too crazy. It's all like, well, it's technically down to human level, I'd say, like to where it's like hand-to-hand combat. It's more, you have gunfights, all this stuff. So it's what I enjoy. That's kind of why I enjoy Captain America. Like Captain America's like movies a lot more.
Yeah.
I just appreciate that. And no, yeah, you loved it. I actually loved it a lot. It just solidifies like how I think Marvel still does a very good job in their quality has not dropped, I feel like, too much.
Oh, no. The series, it's just like a Marvel movie budget, essentially. Like, all the fights, all the, like, I don't know, acting, everything.
Like, they still have, like, we'll touch on this too, but they still pull in other, like, characters from the universe still, and I think that's really cool. Yeah, I think they still do a good job in like connecting everything as well. Like everything still feels seamless, but I will say again, like we said for WandaVision, it does kind of gatekeep itself in that like not anyone can just watch it. You do have to kind of watch the other stuff. But we're at phase 4 now.
Yeah,
right?
we're phase 4.
It's kind of assumed at this point that you should kind of have some Marvel knowledge and go in knowing something about it.
Yeah.
I think that's the hard part again with Marvel, but here I think it's a little bit easier because I think all you really kind of have to watch is all the Captain America movies,
Infinity War and Endgame.
Infinity
I think
War
are
and
two
Endgame.
big ones. To at least know Sam, because you already know Bucky.
Yeah.
So
At least know Sam and Bucky at this point. And then
yeah.
most of the characters that they pull are from like the Captain America series. So, but we'll touch on that. I'll kind of glide through the episodes, and then we'll just we'll talk more about it because there's a lot. So I guess just to start off, like episode 1, it started off with, I think it was really cool because they introduced us back into the, like we said, it's the world of like this. It's not much magic powers. It's like essentially it's a lot more mechanical in that like Falcon's fight. He has to infiltrate. It's more military based in that he has to infiltrate this area, and
he can't cross the border.
He can't cross the border.
He has to catch like the sergeant captain like right before they hit the border.
Yeah, and then I always forget this, but Red Wing as like a drone essentially is still a cool concept. Because usually in the comics it's an actual Falcon.
Yeah, it's an actual Falcon, yeah.
But I like how like they modernized it with that.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Do you like the first fight? Like essentially like him going to the plane and such?
I honestly, going into the first episode, I had no idea where they were gonna go with this. And so when I saw him fly out of the plane, I was like, what a typical Sam intro to this.
Drop out.
Yeah, drop out.
I rewatching a little bit just to write my notes. I just thought it was cool how like the wings are actually just like in his quote unquote like back,
like
and then
backpack
just
basically.
Yeah, backpack, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. It's just cool to see.
I love seeing the intro of Sam. I thought that was very fitting for him. What I didn't think was fitting was how Bucky was in therapy.
Oh, before we touch that, I thought the cool part was, like I said, world connecting, because they still brought back Batroc. I forgot how to say his name.
I think.
George Batroc. It was the mercenary dude from like the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But they brought him into this. I was like, oh, that's so, like, I didn't catch it initially. I will be honest with that. And then, because I was like, oh, they focused on this guy. This must be important. Everyone in our group's like, duh, because he's from Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
You fake fan. How dare you? I was like,
hashtag fake fan.
Stop. But, no, So I thought that was cool. And then how to introduce Bucky was just really funny.
The man's in therapy after 90 some odd years.
Oh, sorry. Before that too, Rhodey's in this movie, and they do like it got to the point where I'm like, wow, we've gotten to the point where I didn't even notice, but I did have a moment where I was like, all right, so where's Iron Man? Oh. Oh. So I think it's just cool how they still bring in old characters. I think that's a really cool way.
And tie everything together.
Now, let's gush about Bucky's therapy session, where I think this is the typical Marvel comedy, and I think it was just done very well. This is really funny.
It's the sass of the therapist.
Essentially, he just won't confess to having a nightmare, because they showed a flashback of him as a Winter Soldier, and he was like, I forgot what area.
Possessed, and I think he was like an Istanbul.
Wow,
I
we can't
don't know.
talk. Look at us.
Words.
Making it hype.
Yeah, making it right.
But they like show like how he kills certain people, and then they end with him killing like an Asian dude. He seemed like he was there at the wrong time. That was his nightmare. But essentially, therapy session, he's just trying to
right his wrongs.
Right his wrongs?
Right his wrongs. But obviously, if anyone there has gone to therapy, I don't think we have. I guess therapists, they do like a notebook thing. And so this woman just whips out her notebook, and then Bucky goes, oh, you're going to do that notebook thing. And then she starts like fake writing.
Yeah, and she's like, because you're not going to talk to me.
Yeah, you're going to talk to me. And then I found that there were 3 rules that he had to abide to not get recaptured.
Yep.
Basically. I wrote them down. His rule 1 was he can't do anything illegal.
I also wrote that. And can't do anything illegal. Second, nobody gets hurt. Him. Why is that not rule number 1?
Yeah.
I was like, he's got a point. 100%. He's got a point.
Yeah, 100%. And just rule number 3, making amends.
making amends by saying, "I am no longer the Winter Soldier, for I am James Bucky Barnes, and you are part of my efforts to make amends." Smile.
I just find it so funny that he literally hunts down these people that he has to make amends to, but he never crosses the line of illegal activities, and
But
he
it's-
never crosses the line of hurting them.
Hey, what we don't know doesn't hurt him. I mean, wait.
But I just found it hilarious that he just always inches close to hitting the line and
Yeah.
never truly goes over them.
Right?
And then he has this little notebook and then he just
Yeah.
crosses out the name.
It's a Cap's notebook too,
Yeah, it's Steve's
Thought that was cool.
notebook. Yeah, that was a nice
really
little,
but cool.
you know,
Oh, you know.
you know,
If you know, you know.
if you know, you know.
And then at this point, he like talks to an old Asian man, and he goes to a restaurant. Essentially, they go to a restaurant. Old Asian man was like,
Because
"Hey,
they hang out every like Tuesday or something.
yeah, something like that." But he's
Yeah.
like trying to hook him up with the chick at the bar,
The bartender. Yeah.
or she's the bartender or server or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And it's like kind of weird. It's like, why is he talking? Like, oh, he has an Asian friend. And I was like, "Oh, is this like a dude from like his like back then or something?"
Yeah, because
Like, I
he
was like,
was
is that
old.
what
The
it
Asian
is?
guy's old.
Yeah, because it's funny because he's like, oh, and it's so cool how he's like, oh, I haven't danced since like, it feels like, because he has to correct himself, since 1945.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because he hasn't. Oh God. But
It's been a while, Bucky.
essentially, he has a date. He does have a date with the server chick. It's kind of awkward, but really funny and cute. But then you realize that the son because then the old man gets sad because he's like, oh, my son used to like this, and you start connecting the dots. You're like, wait,
Oh yeah.
that's the Asian dude he killed in his flashback, and that's
Yep.
his way of trying to make amends, but not fully.
By hanging out with him,
Yeah.
befriending him.
And then, and then Sam goes back. They kind of introduce Sam's side, like he goes back to like his
He's back in
hometown, talk to his
America,
sister.
yeah.
There's like this whole deal where like his family used to own a boat, or they were like fishermen or something. Sister wants to
Their
sell the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parents' business.
Parents'
is going
business.
down.
Sister wants to sell the boat because his business is going down. He doesn't, so they have this argument. Blah blah blah. It kind of hits more later. But essentially, then the lieutenant that helped him out in the first mission, he was trying to check up on some activity with these people called the Flag Smashers.
Oh,
He goes to a rally, gets beat up because this dude that beat him up is super strong.
He was big and bulky. I was a little scared when the way they panned that. I was like, "Oh, this guy's like 6
I thought he was gonna die. I was like,
know.
"Oh," but he just got beat up really bad because they just left him in the street. But
Yeah.
the dude, I love how like you can tell that someone has the super soldier syndrome just by like the impact. They use a certain sound sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. They use
Yeah,
like
they
a
do.
sound set, and I'm like, oh, this guy's, or it's most time you could just claim like, oh, this guy's just stupid strong. Yeah, sure. I think it's just because maybe it's just because it's Cap, and you're like, or the series, and you're like, oh, this guy has the serum.
Yeah.
I think.
But you could tell.
And-
You could definitely tell.
And then at the end, they introduce John Walker, who is who? Veronica.
Captain America.
Oh.
Oh. Basically, Sam.
Oh yeah. Sam gave back the shield. Sorry,
Gave back the
We
shield,
totally
yeah.
glossed over that. He gave back
Yeah.
the shield to the
Well,
government.
that was important, Harrison. I'm just kidding.
You got excited for Bucky. I wanted to give you your moment.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. It's fine. I love Bucky. Okay.
So yeah, he gave back his shield because he thought it was right. He didn't feel like he should have it. He didn't want to take up the mantle. He just felt like he was doing what was right. But then it ended up being the government was like, hey, cool. Now we're gonna make this guy Captain America.
Yeah.
Not the guy that actually who Cap chose as his successor.
Yep. Oh, John Walker. We'll get into him.
Yeah. Which episode 2, they essentially kind of introduced John Walker really quick. He's married. He's appointed by the government, and his introduction is really super flashy, kind of like Iron Man's. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did.
Which it also kind of is a reminiscent of like Captain America's first, like how
Yeah.
he used to like tour and like try to like
Yeah.
hype up the states by punching Hitler.
Well, the
As-
modern days now. So, he was on a
Punching
football
Hitler?
field. Yeah, punching Hitler.
But
We got pulling the big three here. not anime big three, but
Oh yeah, because Bucky confronts Sam and he's like,
Yeah.
"Why'd you give the shield up? See, how'd you not know this was gonna happen?" But then Sam's like, "No, I got to do stuff."
yeah, but there's a big three in this universe, and it's aliens, androids, and wizards.
Well, did he say something about sorcerers? I forget, but I thought that was in the trailer. I was like, "Oh, I love this. I love this dynamic already."
Oh, the bickering's great.
The bickering's great. They're like,
Because the bickering when Bucky and Sam were like talking, it was just the way that we found out as an audience that Bucky is a complete nerd for reading The Hobbit in 1934 when it came out.
wizards aren't real. Or what was it? It was like, yeah, I read The Hobbit when it first came out. I was like, wow, that's a weird flex.
Yeah, I was like, excuse you.
I was like, he's not wrong, but dang.
I was like,
I love
okay.
it. But essentially, like, Sam's just trying to like investigate the Flag Smashers because his lieutenant buddy got beat up.
Oh yeah, pretty bad. Yeah.
So then it's just funny because it was just funny to see like how they operate because they're like, oh, because Bucky tags along, jumps out the plane. Because Sam can fly, but Bucky's like, I'm gonna grab trees.
Grab and go.
I caught that. Or Sam's like, I caught that on video.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I love
Bucky's
this.
like on the ground. He's like, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't. But essentially, they like infiltrate. They follow them to a truck. Then they're like, oh, that must be where the compound or like the serum is, I guess.
Yeah.
Or because he knows how like one of them is strong, so maybe they got something up. And he's like, oh, there's someone in the truck. Get on the truck. Open the door. The
There's a
girl's
little
just sitting in the
girl.
middle. I was like, oh, it makes you think, oh, it's a hostage.
Yeah. I totally thought she was a hostage.
I did too. I thought so too. She wasn't.
No, she got him good.
Because they all have the serum. Who would have
Yeah.
thought? So they didn't have their old spiel, but then the new Captain America also comes in to fight.
That was such a good fighting sequence.
It's like these moments where I'm like, oh, this is so cool. The set pieces are so cool because it's like, oh, they're on top of like trucks
Yeah, semi trucks.
and they could fall off at any time. But it also kind of showcases the new Cap's like style because it felt like all he was doing is just throwing the shield, and then
It's more military fighting.
yeah,
Like it wasn't like Steve's fighting,
because he
which you
still
could
uses
tell.
a gun
Yeah.
more so
Yeah.
than not.
But it was more military, kind of like
military-esque.
more close up combat fighting
Yeah.
at
So
times.
that was cool, but then they all lose, of course. They fall off and all that. They don't want to drive back because Cap's like, oh, the new Cap is like, oh, we should work together. Or John Walker, I say Cap, and I'm like, no, it's not Cap.
That's not.
That's how
right.
everyone felt. So
Yeah, I know.
John Walker was like, hey, we should work together. Nah.
I know. Both Sam and Bucky were like, no,
Nah.
thank you. And then they started walking off.
But so now they're like,
It's so great. The bickering between all four of them were just hilarious on that truck.
yeah. So then they're trying to figure out, okay, so they're like, oh, they're trying to figure out what's their next step. And then Sam's like, we don't have any leads. And then Bucky's like, I have a lead. They introduce Black Captain America.
They sure
Or
do.
Isaiah Bradley.
Isaiah.
I was like, oh, I didn't think they'd actually do this, but they did. I was surprised. I
Did
don't
you
know about
notice that his grandson might be for Young Avengers?
Yeah. I didn't remember if they said his name, but I figured like they're like, oh, they're kind of alluded because he was something Patriot, right, or something.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
I forgot the name also, but he's in the comics and he's usually in the Young Avengers. So I think they're trying to build. They're getting the Young Avengers set up too at this point.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited. But yes, I did notice, but did not write down in my notes. Cough, cough.
You know
But-
what also happened in this episode? Can we just talk about another therapy session?
Yeah. Oh, well, right before that, I thought it was kind of cool where like Sam and Bucky like they have their whole spiel with Isaiah, but they're like, oh, he's like, no, get out, don't bother me.
Yeah.
Old man, grumpy. They kind of touch on like the whole police like talking to a black man.
Brutality.
I was like, ooh. But then Bucky gets arrested instead because then he's like, oh, this is you are going against your
He missed a therapy session.
He missed the therapy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which then leads into he gets bailed out to have a therapy session.
Not only with Bucky and the therapist, but with Sam.
Take it away, Veronica. How was that therapy session?
Wow. The thighs touching was just it for me. It was them like scooting together and just sitting really close.
Where we go? Where are we going?
Wait,
we're like here. No, okay, fine.
Yeah. They just had to deal it out. You know?
I love their dynamic. Like up to this point, I was like, oh, this is just all fun and games. It's great.
Oh yeah.
But then they're like, oh, we have another lead, essentially.
Yeah, and it pans to Zemo.
They bring back people. I was like, oh, this is cool. They're still bringing back like people from like Winter Soldier. This was Civil War, so Zemo was from Civil War. And essentially, episode 3, they break him out.
They didn't break him out.
I'm sorry.
No.
He broke himself out. I'm sorry. Bucky didn't break him out.
Remember, Bucky can't do anything. That's illegal.
Yeah, it's illegal.
Break someone out.
He broke himself out. You're right.
Yes.
And they then just like kind of then trying to bring up how Zemo is actually Baron, which in the comics he's called Baron Zemo.
Baron Zemo, yeah.
Which I thought was cool because they didn't say that in Civil War. He was just like a person that like Zemo was just a dude that had his family died and stuff from the Avengers 2.
Yeah.
So that's
they're leading up to something.
Yeah. But Zemo has a lead in Madripoor. I didn't think about it. But I was like, oh, they never introduced Madripoor because it's predominantly a X-Men location.
Yeah.
But it's essentially like
it's like a port.
It's like a port. It's a bad port essentially. I don't know how.
It's a port for bad people to do illegal things, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
But you know who else comes back?
Who comes back?
Sharon
Carter? What? See, they keep this is like, oh, this is so cool. They bring people back, so cool. And she helps them out, essentially trying to find like the serum because they have a lead that the serum's there, or they're trying to find someone, and it's like, hey, do they have the serum? Yeah. There's more to it, but essentially they're just trying to find a serum. They find a doctor. He confirms like, oh yeah, the serum's here, and it got stolen.
Yeah.
By Carly and the Flag Smashers.
Yeah.
Zemo kills the dude.
But they take the 20 vials.
Yeah.
No.
Wait, you mean
Oh wait, no. They made 20 vials, but they got blown. The little containment was blown up, and then
several amounts got. Yeah, there's the remaining there got blown up essentially.
Yeah. Can you just say that Sharon's a little sus?
Yeah, Sharon's sus at this point.
Yeah. Because she could be the power broker.
But can we also say how her fight scene was cool?
She was alone.
Taking on all the people coming in like the cargo area.
She was shooting and stabbing people.
Yeah.
She was doing the most for them.
Yeah. While they're just having their talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like now it's like, oh, they come back empty-handed because essentially the dude died. They go back to Sharon's hideout. She's like an art collector.
Yeah.
She's doing like the illegal stuff. I mean, she's just selling art. Just kidding.
Yeah,
but
yeah, art.
Yeah, art. Can we also just highlight like while they're waiting because Sharon's trying to help them find like another lead, on where Carly is at that point. I didn't write down what, but I the reason why I didn't write it down was because Zemo's dance scene.
The 30 seconds that
the 30 seconds
in the bar. They made that into an hour long video.
They had a loop. They extend. Marvel knew and they jumped on it. They're like, hey, here's the loop.
Here's that 1 hour loop of Zemo. He was just like fist bumping and just going at it.
Yeah.
It was great.
Oh, but then like essentially Sharon Sus, that Zemo dances, and at the end,
Who else pops up, Harrison? Let me know.
I don't know how to say the name though. Io?
Is it Io?
Ayo? Ayo!
Ayo!
Ayo! From Black. The thing is, I didn't know. I mean, obviously she was from Black Panther. I just didn't know which one because I was like, oh, it wasn't like the main one. But then they
She was
like
the
I went
main
back.
guard.
Yeah, she was like the other main guard.
Yeah.
Essentially, other yeah, and then yeah, that was a
She
twist.
shows up
Yeah,
right at the end.
and then that was end of season or episode 3. Episode 4 it starts with like leading into like his it shows Bucky's like rehabilitation after with the whole Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah, he's finally free.
He's free.
He's free.
Oh, it was so sad though. It was just like you could tell like he was like freaking out as they were like saying the code. I was like, man, this feels bad.
I know, but it feels so good.
But he felt good because he was finally free.
Okay, not only is Sharon sus, but Zemo is getting a little sus in episode 4.
Yeah, because he's like talking to like the people, like because they go to the GRC, which are like the global. I forgot the.
I
wrote
forgot.
the phrase.
It was just a group. I forgot the name though.
Yeah, it's like essentially the group that helps at like it's supposed to help people after the blip. When people come back, essentially, they try to fix things. It kind of this part kind of like delved into how the reason why the Flag Smashers want our thing is because they want to kind of they felt more unified when everyone after the snap, so they're like, oh, everyone for once was actually unified and working towards a goal, but then after the blip they felt like it was like
the same.
2 worlds were like colliding, and it's like the old versus new.
Yeah.
So it delves into that, and then because essentially they go there because they're trying to find Carly,
but Carly's attending a funeral.
Yeah,
of like her.
This is the confusing part. I
couldn't tell if it was her mom or someone
she's
she's related to, or like the boss that like started.
Or I think someone that took care. I think it was just like the person that took care of all of them. I think,
okay.
If anything, it was like a weird thing.
That they never addressed.
Yeah, not too. They were very vague about it, but because Sam confronts her after that, he's just trying to say like, "Hey, what you're doing is wrong."
Yeah.
And she's like saying, "Oh, they're all supremacists," and he's like, "But what you're doing is also."
Because Sam just wants to help her.
Yeah, he actually legit wants to help her. I'm like, oh, this kind of highlights like Sam is actually a good person.
Yeah.
But then of course Captain America. Oh yeah, because they meet up with Captain America because he always somehow tails them and finds them. Or
I know he tracks them somehow.
John Walker tracks them somehow, and he's like, "Oh, give him like 15 minutes," but he doesn't, and he goes in and like ruins everything, per usual.
As usual. Was this the episode where Carly calls Sam's sister and threatens?
I think that's at the end after whole ordeal. But so Zemo finds the vials that they stole.
He destroys them.
He destroys them. I didn't expect that.
Me too.
I thought he wanted to like. It seemed like he was trying. It made it seem like he wanted to
keep them. I thought he wanted to keep them.
Yeah. But I thought he wanted to continue the program and such. But he actually believes that super soldiers should not exist.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. I was like, wow, what a twist. I didn't expect that.
What a twist.
Because at this point they're like because they come back empty-handed. Every time they come back empty-handed.
I know.
Because something goes wrong. I'm like, oh,
something always goes wrong. And there's always a fight that happens.
Yeah. Oh, Ao came back because she wanted to. This is segueing. Because she wanted to take Zemo into custody.
Zemo. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Zemo's the one
raft.
that technically killed the king in Civil War.
They introduced the raft, which is like a prison that floats in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. But they're all like back at Zemo's place, just chilling, and Zemo's like, I think this was a really important part where he was like, "Hey, would you take the serum?" Or what's this? Yeah, he was like, "Would you take?" He asked Sam, "Was like, would you take the serum?" He's like, Sam instantly said, "No."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Whoa!" And
Good call, though.
Good call. It's like that. I think that's really important. It's kind of like like it builds his character more, and that like, oh, he's actually like a good person without. He doesn't need powers.
He doesn't need. Yeah, he doesn't need
He
powers.
doesn't need like he doesn't need steroids.
He has a good head on his shoulders,
Yeah.
and I think that like correlates with like Sam's sister Sarah, and like how like every conversation they have about their parents and stuff. I think he was like brought up in a really good way.
Yeah.
So I think that really kept him this way for so long.
Can we also talk about how because the Dora Milaje, I think I said that wrong, but
It's okay. They'll tell us in the comments
They'll
how
tell us in the
badass they were.
they're so badass. They're all like they're trying to take Zemo into custody, but then Cap's like trying to like or John Walker.
John Walker.
John Walker
John Walker.
also tries to go against them, but then he loses badly.
Oh yeah. That woman took a shield like the way Steve does, like just like kicks it up and then like grabs it. Yeah, that was intense. Enjoyable. Bucky loses his fake arm.
They just like she just did stuff. She just like tapped like fucking code and then it just fell off. And I'm like,
Yeah.
damn.
And I just want to say, like, at this point, because like all we knew was that he stayed in Wakanda, and it's kind of like a blank period.
Yeah.
He gets an arm basically from them.
Yeah, he gets fixed, gets an arm.
Yeah. And then so in my head, I was like, oh, did Wakanda not trust him? Is this why they put a code on him?
I mean, I would think so. Like,
So
it's
I
like
was
what
like-
happens if something goes wrong, right?
Yeah. Like more of like a safety latch,
Yeah.
basically. So if he goes like haywire again, they just detach the arm and like
Yeah,
he's just like right-handed.
right. Yeah. So that fight was so cool, and then I think Walker was just so bent on like the fact that they didn't have the super soldier serum, and they still
Beat him.
beat him. Yeah.
This is where Walker goes a little psychotic.
He's starting to like get like a little He's starting to get a little
crazy.
crazy. I was trying to think of
Psychotic,
another thing, but
crazy,
yeah, essentially he's going
yeah.
crazy. He's starting to question a lot of things. He's like, oh yeah, and like how he asked his friend Battlestar. He's like, hey, would you take the serum? He was like, yeah, instantly, yes.
Yeah.
And he actually believes that if John takes it, he's fine because John was able to snatch the last one before
Yeah.
Zemo
because
could
Zemo
destroy
didn't
everything.
destroy that one, yeah.
Yeah.
He takes it.
Yeah. Because okay, wait. Because they had a fight because they were trying to let me see. They
They were
found
trying to catch
Carly
up to
again.
Carly,
They caught
yeah.
up to Carly, and then they were fighting, and then essentially Carly accidentally kills Battlestar, his
Yeah.
friend, and he just loses it.
I mean,
'Cause
he's
then they're
been
all, like-
losing it through this
He's been
episode.
losing. Yeah, it's just
But
like
he,
it shows like the wires like getting coiled, and then finally
Yeah.
he's about to snap. Yeah, no, and then like he chases someone, and meanwhile like Falcon and like Winter Soldier are trying to like catch up to Carly, but then you notice how like some dude just flies through the wall or flies through the door. I'm like, oh, that's weird. That's like Captain America.
America, yeah.
And you realize, oh, he took the serum because
Yeah.
he's like, oh, forget all this. I'm just gonna be super powered.
Super serumed up.
I'm taking steroids essentially.
That's illegal.
Rule number 1. The thing that like the shock moment from this episode.
The
very
blood
end.
on the shield.
The
That was the shock episode for me at the
Captain
very end.
America, like essentially for everyone in the world's eyes, Captain America killed someone in broad daylight by bashing his shield into
his
someone's
head.
chest.
Yeah.
And that they ended on like the pan of like shield bloody at the bottom. I was like, internet
Steve never
broke.
did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve never did that.
No, and it just kind of solidified like how it amplifies the person's personality. The serum does not change you; it just amplifies, right?
Yeah, which means John Walker's a freaking nutcase.
Yeah,
He's just too emotional to be Captain
Yeah.
America.
right. Agreed. Yeah, and then episode 5, I didn't have much notes because it just kind of. So initially, episode 5 was like, oh, Bucky and Falcon follow up with. they followed him after that whole because everyone saw it, even they saw it in the crowd, and they followed him and they essentially like, hey, get back to Shield. He's like, no.
They do a fight.
They do a fight
for
which
the
is
shield.
so cool. They fight for the shield, and it was so cool. Oh, but that moment when they tried to take out the shield, they just broke his arm. Like straight
They
up.
went nuts for that.
Oh man,
you could hear it crack, and I was just like, huh, oh.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh, like Marvel like is going down this path, and I'm totally okay with it because I was like, this stuff has to happen if someone has powers, right? It's like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But.
And then Sam's wings break.
Oh, because he rips off the wings, right? So
I liked how they pan like upwards, and then you can see Sam like they're all laying down because they like fought already, and then like the wings are just like broken.
Yeah, and
that's the new door opening, which we will get into later.
Yeah, essentially. So he loses all. Everyone's like broken at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot to write. Oh, I didn't write notes for this one as much because to me it just felt like after that hype episode, like all that like that the hype from that point, it was just kind of it kind of had to feel like there was a low. So
there was a low, yeah.
Sam kind of tries to figure out himself because he's kind of. I think he feels like he's conflicted because he wants to help Carly, but everyone's like, no, you have to take her out eventually.
Yeah. And he still doesn't want to take the shield.
No, yeah.
Like he still says no to it.
Exactly, yeah. So essentially, he just goes back, tries to help his sister rebuild the boat. So now I think they can sell it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
He's finally accepted that. Meanwhile, Bucky was like, "Hey," he asks Ao for like some help. He's like, "Hey, I need a favor." Comes back to Sam with a case, and he's like, "Hey, this is something for you." I was like,
it's because Bucky already knew Sam was gonna do it.
Yeah.
Just needed the little push from the Wakanda family.
Yeah, essentially. And then I think another highlight from that was when essentially like he's trying to or Sam's conflicted and he's like because he has the shield, he's like, oh, should he take up the mantle? And finally he does. He finally accepts it and he trains for that point.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. Training montage was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. The slow-mo stuff was a little iffy for me, some of the slow-mo.
Yeah.
But I see what they were going with it, but the rest of it was like really cool.
Yeah.
I noticed that he was running and no one said on your left.
Did you notice how like the panel, it shows him, but he scoots over to the right and there's an empty spot.
Yep.
And there were people online that are like, that's nothing. I was like, no, when in film, everything has a meaning.
Yes.
And that was like, I was like, it was on, he had room on his left. I was like, oh.
I know. It was just like he ran around twice or something, and they just kept panning over to make room. And I was like, oh, but Steve.
Steve's not here.
Steve's not here.
Yeah, essentially, Carly was like, and over time it just kind of shows that also, I don't talk about Carly too much. We'll talk about it after. I have thoughts. But yes. Carly essentially is like, oh, we got to take care of people. We got to show them, like, we got to, like, essentially make a statement, make a point.
Yeah.
And they're at New York City now at this point.
Oh, yeah. John is no longer Captain America. He's not stable enough.
After all that. Yeah.
So he has no rank or benefits in retirement.
He got dishonorably discharged, essentially, right?
Yeah. But no, like, benefits or rank.
But no benefit. Yeah. Loses rank and benefits, yep.
Yeah, and then Val, Madame Hydra, gets introduced. Talks to John.
After the whole thing, and she's like, I don't think this is right. Yeah. I was like, but me at the time, I was like, who is this? Because Madame Hydra was it?
It was a very weird way of introducing Madame
it was very quick. But I was like, oh, this chick's important. Who is she, though? Trying to think. I totally missed out on notes on this part. But essentially, and then essentially at the end, because Bucky gave him like he gave him a suitcase of something, and then you realize we all knew it was just a new pair of wings.
Yeah.
From Wakanda. And then now Sam's like about to like open it up because he knows that something's about to go down with Carly. Yeah, Carly said like don't get in my way and all that essentially.
Yeah, and then finally there's an end credit. You can see John makes his own shield.
the memes from that were so funny. It's like John's search history. How to make shield. What is shield made of?
DIY shield.
DIY shield. Where is Wakanda? Oh no, it's like where can I get vibranium? Where is Wakanda?
Where's Wakanda?
Can I break into Wakanda?
And then there's one where it's like, where is Steve?
Where is Steve? Oh my gosh.
That was so funny. The memes out of that was worth.
It was so worth. I loved it. Now we hit like the final episode because now essentially like Carly's about to attack everyone. She's trying to they show like how like it's not the UN, but like they have like the group of like leaders talking to each other how to deal with like everything that's going on, with how to deal with the flag smashers. But the flag smashers are there, and they're like they try to take them hostage
in the building. Yeah, and they had people being guards or like people like being securities or whatever, and then that was like part of their plan.
Yeah. Essentially, the whole thing is like they get caught or like they get captured and all that, and then Sam's trying to like help free some, because some got into a helicopter, some got into cars or like vans.
Yeah,
vans
2 cars and a helicopter. Yeah.
So Sam's trying to take care of the helicopter. Bucky's trying to take care of the ones in the vans, alongside with John Walker. It's so easy to say John Walker. Why don't I do that?
I know. I was like, what are you doing here, Harrison?
Yeah.
Man, the fights in episode 6 were good.
They were good. They were awesome.
Super good.
No, it's just Sam's new suit, comic accurate. Phenomenal.
Nut.
Absolute nut. It's so good. I was like, oh, this is beautiful. I love it.
If you compare it to the comics, it's probably one of the closest things that will match up like detail to detail.
But like, I think the next closest would be like Iron Man, maybe, with his different suits.
Yeah.
Like they would actually start pulling from certain ones, and it looks really good. Different marks. But I think his is like one of the most comic accurates to date.
Yeah.
It was really
and it's
awesome.
really cool
I liked
to see
it.
him.
Essentially,
it was funny to hear him bicker with Bucky, because Bucky was like, I can't fly. This is all you.
It's all you. But, excuse me.
I thought, okay, here's my little con for episode 6. So we know from previous like episodes that John Walker's a little nuts. And he got discharged, right? Some way, somehow, he just waltzed in here again. And like, so my con was that John Walker had like maybe 2 lines out of this whole episode.
Or like that whole fight section.
The whole fight scene, at least. And then they were okay with, like, Bucky and Sam were okay with him. Like, they were on terms.
So, yeah, like, I'll speed this up because it felt like it was sped up. So, essentially, like, John has his moment and he tries to save the truck full of hostages because Carly tries to throw it off into, like,
building,
a ditch. Like, a building, like, where the construction, into a construction zone. Bucky saves them, all this stuff, and it's just, like, he has this moment where he tries to save it but can't, but then Falcon saves it, all this stuff, and then Falcon chases Carly trying to save her, but then Sharon's a power broker that they keep alluding to this entire time.
Yeah.
And she was trying to help him because she was like, oh, I want people to suffer because I suffered.
Good for her.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, U.S. government screwed her over.
Exactly.
They screwed over the Carter family. I mean, sure, Sharon or Peggy Carter's like rolling in her grave, like you said. But it's fine. But essentially, like, that all happened. Carly dies in like the most anticlimactic way, I feel like, because Sharon kills her. Well, I mean, it's like Bucky or Sam's not gonna do it, so she just got shot. I think the most impactful thing out of all that was essentially Sam's trying to say, like, to the leaders, this all happened because you guys are causing this and you aren't helping out. Essentially, like, I'm a black man with the stars and stripes, and I'm gonna get so much flack for this.
He basically did his Captain America spiel.
Yeah. Which I thought was really good. Y'all, at this point I was like, oh, this is they're hitting points and it's really awesome. And then introduce Isaiah. Like they bring back Isaiah and essentially just to show like, hey, he is now being honored in the museum alongside Captain America.
Alongside, yeah.
Which I think is really nice.
That's a nice wrap up.
Nice wrap up.
And you know what? The Walker, John Walker, guess what he becomes?
The U.S. agent.
U.S. agent!
Which I was like, oh, they're actually going down the route. I was like, this is awesome. Like, there's all these things where I'm like, they're hitting points in episode 6, which is also a con, but they're hitting all these things. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is great. But then it kind of is pretty much it, because he essentially, Sam becomes Captain America along with Bucky. Bucky's like his partner now, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
John Walker becomes US agent.
Let's not forget Zemo's butler killed the truck full of super soldiers.
Oh, the rest of it, because they got caught also. Yep. They were going to be taken away into like the raft. He blows it up.
Yep.
But they also show like it kind of becomes like the new Hydra thing where the guy was like, one world, one people.
One people, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And he's like, oh, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to be safe. They died.
They weren't safe. Good old
Zemo
man
actually was like, hey, we're gonna screw over all the super soldiers because this should not happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much most of it.
That was it.
Really quick, but essentially, I guess overall, what were your highlights and your dislikes? After that long recap.
Okay, so a highlight would be, as much as I love WandaVision, I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier was more of what I enjoy out of Marvel, which is the fights and the humor. Mm-hmm. Those two are probably like the highlights for me. I love hand-to-hand combat in live action stuff. So I was like, yes, Bucky. Yes, Sam.
Like when Sam Bucky were fighting US Agent, like John Walker, I thought that was so cool because he was like, they were like doing all these, like even Bucky occasionally would use her like his like knife moves from like Winter Soldier. I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Or when, wait, go ahead.
No. I was just like, essentially, it's like I just missed the fight choreography.
Oh yeah. But I love it where in episode 6, Carly throws a pole at Bucky. He catches it with his right hand, which is his non-metal hand. But in the episode before, Sam was like, oh, why don't you just use your like metal, like your left hand? And Bucky goes, oh, I'm right-handed. So now the next final episode, he was just like doing stuff with his right hand, and I was just like, wow, he really doesn't need this arm. But
he also has like a version of the super soldier serum too.
Yeah, he does.
But it's just it just shows like it's not just him and his arm. Like he's actually a proficient like fighter.
Oh yeah. My one, like the con, which I kind of went over, was just like I felt like it was a little rushed. Like if there was maybe 1 or 2 more episodes of this and they did the background of John Walker, I probably could have understood John a little more.
Yeah. Because
the way they introduced him was just like, oh, new Captain America, Psycho Captain America, discharged Captain America. Like it was just like all of that happened within like the span of like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And then his partner died. And, like, we know he's, like, super emotional. But I was just like, but what's the trauma behind this?
Yeah, they, like talk about it.
We know he went to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Like, we know he's in the military. But I was just like, I want to know more. I just wanted more.
Yeah. I agree. I think having a flashback would have helped solidify, like, have more impact. Like, they talked about it around the table when they were like, oh, should I take the serum? They talk about it, but it's really hard to convey that. And it's like, I can tell like they're distraught by it, but it was like, I think if you saw what happened, it probably solidify it more. But then again, it's like also just to play devil's advocate, we've seen a lot of those scenes where some like militaries in Afghanistan or like overseas doing all that stuff, like what they go through. I don't know. Maybe it's like it was a choice to not show that. Yeah.
Which I understand.
Which I understand too, but I think it would have helped maybe just to show some impact, I guess. Like even just like a scene of like why they are the way they are, because he was like, oh, the things I've done. I'm like,
but
for us, we can kind of guess, but it's like, I don't know, it doesn't help. Like it's kind of hard to, I guess you just kind of have to assume like, oh, they've done a lot, so they're not the because he even admitted, he said, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not like a good. I'm just trying to make amends, kind of too.
Exactly. And my
or do more.
Only other con was Sharon. because they kept dragging her out. Power broker, maybe CIA, like undercover person.
Yeah.
Like, who was she? She was always on the phone, like with a mysterious
Has a
person
limo,
making deals. Yeah, a limo.
Somehow
she has
is
enough
like-
money. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, Sharon, I want to support you for the rest of the series, but let me know what you are.
Yeah. They allude to like how she's mysterious, but I agree it's kind of open, and it was kind of Russian that like it was, or not even rush. It was just kind of like she got the short stick essentially.
Oh yeah, after
Like-
helping Steve, yeah, she definitely got the shred.
Yeah.
of the
Well, it's like
stick.
she also the explanation was very like bare minimum. It's like, oh, who do you think she is? Oh, she's the power broker. There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But those two, yeah,
That was your two.
I felt
gripes?
like the highlights really helped with the cons a little
Mhm.
bit. Like, I didn't mind it too much, but
Yeah.
I just had two cons.
Yeah, I think my big highlight was like I think just the question of like should Sam become Captain America? I think because like at the time I was like, oh, why doesn't like me? I'm like, well, why doesn't he? But then they
Yeah.
actually kind of delve into like, oh, it ended up just being like, oh, a black man being Captain America is not going to be received well, and I'm like, I can see that, and I think it's just definitely like a commentary right now on what's going on.
Oh yeah,
Or what's been going, not what now, but what's been going on, right? And I think it was really good. Like, I think they portrayed it really well. I think that's the other thing. It is Sam's, essentially, it's like Sam's like transition.
into Captain
But
America.
I think, I also agree. I think 2 more episodes might have helped. Because I think it would have been cool to see even Isaiah's back. Like, he explains his backstory, but I think it would have been cool like to see like a quick flashback,
Oh yeah,
like in his prime. That would have been a really cool Easter egg.
oh yeah.
Like seeing
I
like
would have
him
enjoyed
being
that.
buff and like actually doing the things that he was talking about. I think that would have been cool. But alas, we don't have that. Yeah, I think we need more time to just flesh out some more.
I think so too. But overall, it was a good series.
Overall, yeah, overall it was good. I think what I really wanted to like also mention was like I think now having 2 series, I think I kind of understand what Marvel's going for with these series that they're putting out on Disney Plus. It's like I think they're able to delve into more of the world, but also kind of give time to like flesh out some characters that they don't have time to make a movie for. I think it's like you can make a TV show versus a movie. I think some of these would be it's like introducing you as agent in a movie. I think it'd be this is probably better than what could happen in a movie. 100%.
But now they can go into Thunderbolts, which is a whole other realm.
That whole other realm of like
Yeah.
spec, like isn't it essentially like spec ops Avengers kind of?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so hyped. Like what they can allude to for all this is gonna be so good.
It'll be great.
Yeah, no, I think overall it was really good. I can see why some people had their gripes, but also I still will say Marvel does not miss. It's still they have their standard. It is always, I feel like it's still been like it's a good show and or movie. Like I think this is still like a solid, at minimum a 6. But I think overall I think I gave it like a 7, some 8 at some points.
Yeah. I'll probably just give it all around 7.5.
Yeah.
Again.
Again. We're not reviewing, it's just like how we would scale it.
just-
Like how that's how I feel about it out of a 10.
That's how I feel it. Yeah.
But I think it's just a very good, I think it's more Marvel. This is all I love it.
This is how we know Marvel. It's
Yeah.
the fights, the humor.
Yep. I think
That's
it's
it.
a solid, like this felt more of a Marvel thing. And at times that's not good, but I think right now, considering how much we haven't had, this is way more Marvel content that I actually am used to
Marvel
and
thirst.
I enjoy.
The Marvel thirst that we
The
all
Marvel
had.
thirst that we had. Yeah, and then I had one more thing. Yeah, I think
The final credit. Sharon gets a pardon.
Oh yeah, she does get pardoned,
She gets called Agent Carter again.
but
She's a power
But she's
broker still.
she's still a power broker, still gonna sell stuff from the U.S. government.
Yes, she is. Like I said, I'm gonna support her. They
Do you
screwed her
think she's
over.
gonna be straight up evil eventually,
I think
or
so.
she's just like one of those like she's like that gray area character? You think?
She might be a gray area character because I feel like she really helped out Bucky and Sam. Like
Mm-hmm.
she like had like a genuine feeling about helping Sam and Bucky without
Still,
like
yeah,
a second
after
thought
everything.
still, after
Yeah.
everything. And like Sam still kept his promise and she got pardoned.
Mhm.
So I think she has like a soft spot for just Sam and Bucky.
Yeah. I mean, considering what they went through
Yeah.
in Winter Soldier,
Screw
honestly.
the US government. She can do whatever she wants as a power broker. I was about
Yeah,
to say.
for real. Yeah, that's good. Any other closing thoughts or?
I do not know.
No. It was just a ride. I think anyone that watched it, I think there's some things here and there, but I think it was overall a good show. And I enjoyed it.
Me
But
too.
if you have nothing else, I'll just close out. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. You can follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram at NgoVo Convo, NgoVo Convo.
Convo.
If you don't know how to spell our last names.
Short and sweet.
If you are on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe if you like us enough.
Love us.
But if you don't love us, comment below.
Still
let us know
subscribe.
Still subscribe. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, still do it. Let us know how we're doing. Comment like if you have any anything else you want us to watch, talk about, what to watch next. Other than
DM
that,
us. Tweet us.
yeah, DM
Love
us,
us.
tweet us, love us.
Like
All
us.
the above.
Subscribe to us. All the above. Give
All
us
of
more
the above.
content because we have lots of content.
Oh, we have some stuff lined up. It's gonna be cool.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, bye bye.
Bye bye. Wow.